Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
I want to get to the question that I said we would get to that Mama wrote in, wanting to know how to deal with depression. My son, autistic, 10 years old, is most of the time depressed. How can I deal with this?
Yeah. So, you know, when I first read the question, how to deal with depression, I thought you might be referring to yourself as a parent, because a lot of our parents go through that. And that is honestly harder to deal with than if you are dealing with a 10-year-old. And the reason is that, so I was happy when I saw the second question, which is like, you're asking about your son. So when it comes to children, unfortunately, their lives are a little bit less burdened, I guess, than ours. And they have fewer responsibilities, and the whole process is just simpler when it's a 10-year-old. So what you have to do is, and this is a good exercise for anyone, not just an individual who thinks their child is depressed, but anyone should, everyone, every parent should do this, because it's very helpful to have an idea of what are the things that are rewarding and or not rewarding in our children's lives, right? So you start with just kind of identifying what are the things that your child enjoys, right? So, and we call those obviously reinforcers. There's, we could send you, or you could look online, and there's reinforcement inventories online. And these are important because there's things on there that you wouldn't even think of, right? So you might think, for instance, that you know, only food or only praise or that sort of stuff, but there's a million things that are rewarding to our children. And it's important to think about those things. For example, just being left alone is rewarding, or just being given an opportunity to have a quiet time, or those types of things. So you establish a list of what are the things that are rewarding, and then you establish a list of things that are difficult. So what are the things that are too demanding or cause a lot of like stress for my child, or it's difficult for my child to do these things, or they make my child not feel good about himself, right? So maybe they could be things like I don't know, his language lessons, his math homework, just spending time with other people because it's so loud, spending time with children because they might not understand him and he might feel left out. So all the things that are negative, right? And then do a schedule of his week and figure out when are the things that are happening, like what's going on in his life, write his entire schedule, and which one, and then like put a plus or a minus next to the activities, right? So like, you know, he wakes up, that's okay. That's not too negative an experience for him because he has breakfast, right? And that's maybe a reward. So that's a plus. But then right after that, he has to do homework, and maybe that's a minus, or he has to go to school, or whatever it is, depending on where you are in the world. So try to identify the things that are not pleasant and the things that are pleasant. And so the days, and whenever you have an activity that is demanding or makes him feel not so good about himself, stressful, confusing, hard, embarrassing, whatever it is that's negative, follow it with one of those rewards that you listed the other day on the other list, right? So you have these, you know, so he has a very demanding math program or whatever. So I want to make sure that on the days that he has math, right after that, he gets 20 minutes, 30 minutes of one of these things that was rewarding to him, like playing on the computer or running outside or whatever it is. So what you're doing is you're reorganizing his daily schedule in a way that it becomes fair. And I always say that because a lot of times as parents or as teachers, we're very focused on, I have a limited time. I got to teach this thing. I got to make him change in that way. I have to, he needs to be toilet trained. He needs to be talking. He needs to be socializing. He needs all this stuff, right? And we don't realize that it all adds up and it becomes overwhelming for the child. And so it's really, really important to put it down on paper and from his perspective, determine which is rewarding and which is demanding or difficult, and then balance the day and balance the week and make sure that there's a lot of reward. Now, once you've balanced it, go back and add 10% more reinforcers. Like increase the reward, make it so that your child is enjoying every moment, because I promise you, they will learn a lot more when they're happy, when they're have something to work towards. Now, a lot of our kids will also need, everything I said is simpler said than done, I guess. So a lot of our kids will need visual reminders of these things, that if you work hard for the next 30 minutes, here's a timer, we're going to get this reward. Here's a picture of it. Somehow visually, so that they know what they're working towards. Because remember, our kids don't necessarily have the same intrinsic self-rewarding system that other kids do, right? They don't work in order to make you proud, because making you proud is their number one reward. That isn't necessarily the case with a lot of our kids. It is with some of our kids, but other kids need other types of rewards. So I think that's the best way to get your child out of depression, is to kind of make their life a little bit more rewarding in whatever way you can. In fact, that holds true for all of us, right? But we just get very confused when we're talking about ourselves. It's hard to balance our own lives. And we have so many responsibilities and burdens, I guess, that it's hard to also add in rewards.
And I think COVID has just made it harder, because a lot of the things that we could default to reward ourselves and to reward our kids aren't available right now. So I think that that's made it harder. But it's also, I don't know about everybody else, but it's made me more mindful about it. That, oh my gosh, like what else can we do? And we almost, we have to schedule it.
Yeah.
We have to schedule that. Otherwise, it's hard for all.
Now, I do also, Shannon, want to point out, I'm a big believer, when you study all the literature on things like depression and anxiety, you learn that there are always two ways to handle these types of issues. One is through biological means, and one is through behavioral means or cognitive behavioral means. And the studies all indicate that the most successful group are the people who do both. So you can be someone who is doing all of these behavioral things that I mentioned, and your child continues to feel depressed. It's time for you to consult with a psychiatrist, or even just his developmental pediatrician or someone, because there's a whole nother side to this, which is the biology of depression and anxiety. And chemically, we become imbalanced simply because our environment is not providing to us the nutrients we need for our neurotransmitters to function correctly. And it's the truth is, in the old days, like when there was enough bacteria in our environment, we all had very healthy guts and our neurotransmitter levels were functioning great, and we had enough serotonin, enough dopamine, enough norepinephrine that we would never get depressed or anxious, or fewer people did. And so that has changed. And we currently have a lot of people, and as Shannon said, COVID was not an easy period. A lot of people are going through depression. And aside from all these behavioral or cognitive behavioral methodologies, I am a very strong supporter of medications that help with depression and anxiety. There are many medications. The primary group, obviously, is the serotonin or norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors, so SSRIs or SNRIs, and they are very, very helpful. And they're not, this is not something scary, folks, honestly, because all these medications do is they allow your body to absorb your own neurotransmitters a little bit better. So, those medications also help just kind of lighten the load when it comes to what we're all going through in life right now.
Have you ever seen, there's a video that they've been able to, with an incredible microscope, they've been able to look at, and it looks like this alien life form that's a ball that has legs, and it looks like it's dragging something. And what it actually is that process that you were just describing, and it's literally your body dragging something, and they say this is what happiness looks like, is when your body is able to transmit this particular, whatever that thing is transmitting, that is what creates happiness. It's this crazy video. I could watch it forever, but to look at it and go, oh, that's what happiness actually looks like. Incredible. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.